Even in this state, I'm blown away. I'm absolutely, and I know I say this all the time, I'm pretty sure the camera's not doing it justice. Say it as it is, mate.
It's just a Barbie pink car.
It's cosmic, man. Crikey, the difference is massive.
Yeah,
So hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a monumental occasion. The GT4 RS that we've had on order since last year has finally turned up. But as the title and certainly the thumbnail of this video would suggest, you might be scratching your heads thinking, I'm pretty sure I clicked on a purple car. What's happening with this pink car? Well, it's for exactly that reason that we are here at Logic to do a complete transformation and facelift of the car that hasn't even turned a wheel yet. You see, I'm gonna have to hold my hands up and say, I've got it wrong. It's the first time that I think I've gone and cocked up the spec of a car. You see, growing up, and I think as a colour, Ruby Stone, certainly on 964s, and the 911 profile in general, is an iconic colour. I always actually dreamt of perhaps owning a Porsche one day in Ruby Stone. But it turns out, at least to my eyes, it only looks good on a 911 or certainly a 964. But I'm convinced the original paint, back when Ruby Stone launched, it was probably a solvent-based paint, whatever it is, to my eyes, this is pink. This is actually pink. My association with Ruby Stone is more of a sort of almost a purpley, sort of deeper, thicker colour than this. I don't know if it's the contours of the car, I don't know, but on a GT4 or a GT4 RS, to my eyes, it just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, today is a bit of a weird one because it's been a mark in my calendar as one of the most exciting days of the year to finally be receiving this car. It's one of the best cars I've ever driven, and yet it's sort of weird because, well, I'm about to change it. When it rolled out of the truck, I'm gonna say it as it is, I just didn't like it. So today, before we even do a walk and talk of the features or even take it for a first drive or properly introduce you to the car, we're going to change the colour and paint it something really special. All right, so stage one's happening. It's going in for a wash decontamination, and then we're going to completely transform this thing. Actually, now I'm seeing it roll, it doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too bad.
With those sunglasses on, it probably doesn't.
Cameron doesn't like it. Cameron really doesn't like it. Can't make my mind up. Sometimes it looks full on Barbie pink. Sometimes. And other times there's hints of what I associate as being Ruby Stone. I think it's just too light. Is it just me?
No, it's not just you.
Is that the Ruby Stone that you associate as Ruby Stone?
No.
On the configurator, because it's a PTS slot, there's no render for it when you're building it.
Yeah.
So the thought of the Saturn Orum wheels next to it was like, yeah, they'll go.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I thought with it being a fairly wild car.
Yeah.
Because the sculpture
exactly.
of it, the front end sculpture is absolutely stunning.
No, that is the problem.
Just that front three quarter there, there's so much contrast, sculpture shapes and curves. I love even the depths of the lights.
You know, the
amazing.
wing louvers and everything.
Let's face it, as far as problems go, it's well up there as the biggest first world problem ever.
It is the biggest problem.
Still, it's going to look better in what we've got planned for it. Speaking of which, should we go and mix some paint?
Well, let's go mix some paint.
So, anyone who's just tuned in, maybe to the channel full stop off the back of the GT4 RS, hello, welcome, thanks for joining us. And you might now be thinking, let me get this right. This madman was granted a PTS slot on a GT4 RS and he's respraying the car. Yes, but it's with Logic's removable paint. So what that means is it is paint, as you can see. We're going to mix an exact paint and it's going to go onto a membrane which is removable. So the PTS paint underneath it will be preserved.
Will always remain. And it's protecting it.
So it's acting as a PPF for the original paint too. So,
find out.
What are we going for?
We are going for Viola Pacife Lamborghini.
Which is awesome, but because we can mix it ourselves, we're gonna turn it up to 11.
We're gonna fleck it up a little bit.
Yeah, add extra fleck, make it pop even more.
A little bit of sauce here, there and everywhere. So what we have here is a PPG EnviroBase scheme. So Lamborghini, Ferrari, all the Italian manufacturers use PPG as their paint supplier. So we have that scheme in-house, one of many that we can access. So we simply go into the colour, we type in here Lamborghini, and then what we can do here is just type in Viola, and then what that will do is generate every Viola colour that Lamborghini have ever made.
Aphelia's there.
Everything's there. 2000, 1983, 2017. Lamborghini Viola Pacife is a 3-coat system. It's called a triple layer almost. So you have a main layer, which is white.
So you put white down first?
White down first.
That's quite unique, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You don't always get that, to be fair. So
It's a shame we'll only see that when it's in bits, because it
would,
would
yeah.
look cool as a white car
it
anyway,
would.
right?
Tinted clear coat, transparent coat.
Okay.
So that is made up of 4 colours.
So there's 4 pigments
There's 4 pigments in this.
in the top coat.
In the top coat.
Wow.
This is the main ingredient. And as you can see, being a pearl, you've got that like whitey kind
Crazy
of
shimmer to
translucent.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited for this. It is brilliant.
What we have next after that, T443, which is a violet.
Crikey.
The purple.
Right. So that's where the purple
So
comes
this
from.
is where the actual body of the colour comes from. And then what we had to do then is a transparent magenta. So even though, as you can see, it's really quite red, even though that is quite substantial. Wow. So 1,000 millilitres. In that whole 1,000 millilitres a litre, 870 ml is the violet pearl.
Oh wow.
So that's how
rich.
super rich.
And then what are we adding to it to make it our own, to give it a little bit more flair?
Not sure we can reveal that.
Wow, look at that stuff. That is so rich. It's bordering on blue, isn't it? It's so deep.
So now we've got our transparent magenta. We've got 5.5 grams of that.
Gorgeous. It's it's such a satisfying process. That is absolutely bonkers. How's that just, you know, like one minute it's like some abstract painting and then it just goes, snaps into purple.
It is absolutely beautiful colour. One of my
colours
favourites.
in that.
The colours, if you go actually into the pot, you know, you can
Wow.
really kind of see.
On that.
Yeah. There we
What
go.
on earth? Look at that.
So
That's going to be draped on the car.
before we mixed it, you could see predominantly it was all pearl, and you
Yes.
just have those little other pigments in there just to give it a bit more of a body, but predominantly that is all pearl, and it flips so much. So over white, that will come alive.
So if someone wanted it, you could mix the equivalent in yellow or orange.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any Lamborghini colour, they're all. When you get to ad personam, because it's worth mentioning, this is an ad personam.
This is a 10
colour.
gram paint job.
This is a £10,000 colour. So.
Like what you do here is absolutely,
You know, and it's not an
It's so
imitation.
cool.
It's actually
No,
this
it's the
is,
same mix.
If you lift a Lamborghini bonnet up, underneath on the bonnet has a paint code and it's a PPG sticker, so it's exactly like for like paint. So JCR popped by the other week and they dropped off some
Reason being, not only are we going to be able to match the spray of the paddles
To
to
the
the car,
paddles, yeah.
but the paddles on the back of the wheel are quite small, and I can't make out if they are plastic or CNC'd.
we won't know until we take them off.
JCRs are a billet single piece.
Billet single piece and so much bigger.
Like twice as big, maybe?
Twice the size.
Let's see.
So as you can see,
They're
beautifully
easily
made.
twice the size. They're huge. That's the existing shift paddle there, CNC, and the size difference.
The size
Look at it,
difference.
The size difference is huge. And the idea is to also spray this field of Parsifal to match the outside of the car. Well, it's got 40 miles on it now. A whole 40 miles.
If that.
We drove it from the bunker here. It arrived with 22 miles on it.
Right.
And we drove it here. So when we say this thing's fresh out of the box, we're going to show you what the inner bowels of a GT4 RS is like and the process which Logic's going to have to do in order to make this thing pop in purple.
Pop in purple, yeah, absolutely.
So, strip down process, how's it been?
Very, very easy. And these cars are very different to previous Porsches. So being a second generation or third generation even of the GT4, everything is a lot different in terms of bumpers, and there's so many more kind of like cables, plugs and stuff you've got to look out for. There's so many more hidden bolts and stuff, but to take the car apart, it's been really quite easy, to be fair.
This is quite interesting. It's quite cool seeing the carbon that would have conventionally always been hidden. Like, look at, right under here, underneath these lights, is this
with this
carbon
car,
plinth.
I mean, visually exposed on the external part of it is so much carbon, but what with Porsches we always find, especially on Wisex cars and cars that have carbon on all the time, is that even the brackets are always carbon. Like everything, they go to such an extent to save weight.
It's a special thing, isn't it?
So not just that on the outside, but also on the in. That's your centre lock.
Central locking wheel nut locator right under there. So
what-
normally, obviously, there'd be a sort of like a shrouding on top of here. This gives you access to your pump for your tyres, your central locking wheel nut. If you're ever trying to find it on your Porsche and you're like, it's not in the boot, it's because it isn't. It's under the...
there, yeah, there's a big black cover that goes there. You got
that's
your
it.
battery. The
Take
bonnet's
it to
4
pieces,
bolts.
but not.
So
4 bolts.
4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, done.
Pops off.
Literally 4 bolts. So
Wow.
you can imagine that takes all of about 10 minutes. You've got a washer jet pipe here.
Yeah.
It goes on for your windscreen wiper jets, and that's it. And the bumper was the longest part about it.
All right, one of the most unique features of the GT4 RS is, of course, the air intakes where the windows would otherwise be on a GT4.
It is so functional, and when you move the car, you can hear it.
Man,
when you rev.
Can't tell you the sound of this. Once
Yeah.
you've done it, you got to take the keys.
Yeah.
You got to go. Resonation chamber
Yeah.
behind your ears. There's almost a difference in air pressure behind your head. It's
100%.
thing.
And also we'll protect those in liquid PPF, being external carbon and visual, so we want to make sure they're looked after. Rubbers always go on here. Some people will potentially wouldn't do this bit because it's covered with rubbers, so you don't see it, but we always think, well, if it's done and you put a rubber over it, there's no...
It's Lux factory then.
It's
good to go.
completely factory, and you've got no risk of the line being there, or potentially just seeing a little bit of the original, so we always go in. Rear tailgate bit.
That is absolutely... We'll probably never get access to this again in this state, so it's really cool to see it.
All the lights are out. Again, it looks really dismantled, and you always see cars like this if they've had an accident.
Sure, but it's not a big deal.
But it's actually a rear bumper and 2 lights. It's nothing at all.
This is interesting. So on the optional extras list of a Porsche, there's something called Home Link, which is effectively you can program it to the frequency of your garage door or your gate. So when you approach it, it opens. You don't necessarily need a fob. I thought that was an ECU for the car. That is literally the Home Link box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right there, I guess it makes sense. It probably needs to be at the front of the car to
respond.
Just before we head into the paint booth, look what we've got in. I mean, it's still one of my all-time, dream cars.
Seal grey, PTS midnight blue, whole car. Owner was over the moon. He then took it on a European road tour. Literally drove it through the Alps, went to Germany. He went everywhere in it, so it's come back, not surprisingly,
full of dust,
full detail, because it is absolutely filthy. So, which involves removing panels and making sure it's absolutely spotless. So we also, while it's here, we check it on the product, make sure it's absolutely fine, and it looks as new.
All right. Okay, this is where it gets really real.
Front and rear bumpers. We always like to do the bumpers together, because they're quite easy off the car, and they make sense doing them together. We do actually, it's a bit of a science to when you paint. So even though it's the same colour and the same person painting, it is really important that the doors get painted with the car. So if they were done separately at a different time, there would be a possibility where if it wasn't done at the same time, exactly the same point, it could potentially look different, especially with a 3-stage pearl, what we're doing. So we always make sure that panels get done at the same time, where the bumpers are important together. This has now been fully peelable, so the peelable is all on there. As you can see, it goes absolutely everywhere. One of the most important things when we're doing this is that it's consistent. So it's consistently thick around the whole panel. If it's not, it won't have the same protective or flexibility. So as you can see, it goes absolutely everywhere. What we also do is that we cover off the inside. We don't want the inside going the new colour. It's really important when it gets removed at any point that we haven't altered the car's originality. So everything gets mashed off the inside, and none of the new colour will be going inside, no horrible overspray or anything like that. So when it does come off, it'll go back to a perfectly factory painted car without any signs.
So effectively, the matte finish which you're seeing is what the peelable layer looks like before you apply the paint. And that's what it bonds to, right?
Yeah, so it has all the adhesive is on the paint now, and our genuine paint will now stick to what's on there, and it all forms together and creates that removable Logic paint. This is the same product as what's going to go on here. This won't be painted. We're going to keep this clear. We're going to protect it. So it's just a stretch with liquid PPF, no edges, no lines, no joins, absolutely seamlessly painted. So when this is done, you wouldn't be able to
this acts as a paint protection film.
Paint protection film. You wouldn't know it was on there once it's done.
This one, whoop, here it is. It's cosmic, man. It's wonder juice, this stuff. It's so cool. All right, let's do it.
I gotta make it just for my kids and for their kids' kids. That's wealth years and years. Promise my brother soon as he out and finish this bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did. The odds is real big, job that's real big. Satan trying a little, my God is real big. Stayed up on the.
All right, what stage is this?
So we are now done. We have put all
the shimmer on that is unbelievable.
It's so sparkly.
That is absolutely outstanding.
Let me go get a torch.
It really shows the sculpture of every surface. You've got that super high highlights, super rich, deep low lights. This is before clear coat, flat and polish.
This is before clear coat, so this is literally just the base coat of the colour, which is now complete uniform. We've drop coated it a couple of times so that we get like a really nice shimmer effect. It'll actually just come alive once it's got clear coat. Obviously it's quite a matte purple.
Yeah.
It won't highlight all the colours in it. As James just said, you can see the highs and lows. If you look at the spoiler at the back there, you can kind of see it's quite dark here, but then as soon as you come to it, it really lightens up.
Cheers.
So good in this colour.
Nice work, man. Okay, so is this the first
This is the first coat of lacquer on this colour.
Oh, wow. Oh, you can see how it's gone like deeper and richer already, right?
Yes, yeah, it'll never cut 2 coats of lacquer and it's really going to start to pop out.
Crikey, the difference is massive.
Yeah, because it's so matte when it's painted and now I've got the lacquer on it.
Oh, dude.
That is bonkers. Go, you're gonna... this thing in the sun, I can't even believe what it's going to end up doing.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this car outside when it's all done.
Phenomenal. So it's still got 2 more coats of
2 more coats of lacquer, so it's really going to set apart from all the other cars out there.
Mate, top work, man. It's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, mate. The pop is gnarly. Holy
Yeah.
What are we on? Seamless transition day 3. Day 3. What's effectively happening here, in one edit, we're cramming in the multiple days that it takes to create this wonderful contraption right here. Even in this state, I'm blown away. I'm absolutely, and I know I say this all the time, I'm pretty sure the camera's not doing it justice, but this is now turning out to be like a flip purple. Some flip colors obviously change different colors, so it might go from green to blue to orange. This goes from different hues of purple depending on the angle you're staring at it, the angle that the light is hitting it from. We've got sanding and flattening taking place in the background here, and we're going to talk about an invisible coating. Talk to me about this coating which is about to go on this thing, or has gone onto it.
Yeah, so the clear coat is a very different clear coat that we've used this time round. This is, again, I think a £10,000 option from Lamborghini. Now the cost isn't really in the actual paint itself, it's in the time. This is probably took 3 times the amount of time to paint as a normal paint would take, and the amount that goes on. So, which is why we get this translucent, flippy kind of purple. Now, what we've done is put a clear coat on top of this, which people that know will know.
So set some context on this, because I think, you know, for all of its wonderful properties, what would that can cost on a normal clear coat?
This can on a normal clear coat would cost around in the region of about £90.
What does that can cost?
£500.
Tell me why that's worth it.
This is almost like an anti-scratch, scratch resistant lacquer. So it goes extremely hard, like ceramic does. It goes extremely hard, and in the sunlight, like traditional paint protection film, it has the self-healing properties. So if you accidentally scratch it with a scratchy cloth, sponge, wash your car incorrectly, in the sunlight it will self-heal. Also the finish it gives, it's just so glossy, and it gives you that ceramic kind of just reflection. This is a little bit dark, we might be able to lighten that up a little bit, but
it's not far off. There are sort of high spots and low spots slightly, on it, you know, but it's missing that ceramic.
Yeah, it hasn't got ceramic lacquer on.
Hasn't got ceramic lacquer on it.
Has not got ceramic. It's a little bit soft. The paint's a bit soft.
The paint's a bit soft on that one. And by soft, I mean completely melted. We've just been on an interesting journey with Aston Martin Works.
Yeah.
And that was when I say real paint job, it was not a removable paint job.
Removable, yeah.
And the process is identical.
Yeah,
it's the same. All right, it is finally here. Now, this has obviously been in the edit. We've compacted the days that it's taken to achieve this result. Now, as I've seen it unfolding before my eyes, that's been a hell of an experience. And I thought I'd got an idea of how this car was finally going to look. But outside, thankfully, the day that we've got the handover is full of natural, beautiful sunlight. The paint on this is a game changer. Now, I thought the car was heavily sculpted before I saw it with this color on it. But because this is a triple layer paint, as you've seen based on this journey, it's got a white base coat, which acts as a sort of reflective layer that helps punch out the color, and all of a sudden the shapes of this thing. I remember saying at the start of this video, the contours and sculpture of the car is phenomenal. The original color for me didn't quite do it the justice I'd hoped, but Cameron and the team here, they are ninjas of the paint world. To watch it before my eyes has been absolutely fantastic. So we've now got our own triple layer purple Viola Parsafe, which is a Lamborghini color. It's an ad personam color. If you were to order this from Lamborghini, it would cost over £10,000, sir. So I'm acutely aware that we actually haven't given you a rundown of any of the specs or features of the car. So we're going to save that for the next video, because you're probably, I don't even know what this edit will end up being, 18, 20 minutes long. So we're going to give you an in-depth walk and talk of the particular spec of this car. It is Weissach. I thought I sort of owed that to what feels like a swan song moment for the GT4 platform. But other than that, we'll save all of the particular details for the next video. I say this a lot, and sometimes I say it for effect, but right now I'm genuinely telling you the camera is not doing this finish justice. So I want to get in, Cameron, and talk about the process. I mean, I've sort of witnessed half of this process taking place. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're
The
very,
skill
very,
you've got
very
in there is
pleased.
unbelievable.
But because there's so much transparent purple violet that goes over the white, it gives you the highs and lows of the colour.
So in the end, how many layers of paint? In the end?
This took around 10 layers of purple paint, which
10 layers.
To put it in perspective, normally you would do anything from between 2 and 4.
Seriously?
I know on the Aston Martin video, you know, they did 2 layers and a drop coat. This has had 10 layers of purple,
Yeah, of
plus the peelable base layer that we've
Membrane,
had.
of course, yeah.
Then we've had our ceramic clear lacquer over the top of it, multiple coats of that. So the actual end product of this is ridiculously thick and protective. And what you just mentioned a minute ago, which I was kind of just wanted to add to, is that £10,000 for ad personam paint.
Yeah.
£7,000 to protect it.
Cool. Well, listen, comments below. I'd love to hear from you what your thoughts were on the journey. We're going to be filming a lot of stuff here with Logic. So anything that you particularly like to see, I want to hear your questions in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Ciao.